yourself a disservice, and or you're maybe not really a sports fan. Congratulations to the Minnesota FC United team. Well, I mean, I guess they haven't locked it. Have they locked it up officially yet? I don't know. They're in third place in their conference, and I mean, they're 8-1-5 at home. I don't know. That seems pretty good. That seems pretty positive to me.
8-1-5.
Yeah, 5 ties. They call those draws in football.
That's impressive.
Yeah, they're 5-1 at away, but 8-1-5 at home.
On the topic of soccer, quick, I did read the other week because the U.S. women's national team was actually in town.
Yeah.
And I was looking at tickets on going, and it was like close to $200 a ticket.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, yeah, that's just a little too much for me. But then when people got to the game, they found out that Megan Rapinoe wasn't playing.
Oh.
And nor was their other star,
Carly?
Alex Morgan.
Oh, Alex Morgan.
Like, how mad would you be? Like, I would have been so mad if I paid. I mean, I totally get it. They're not going to play every game. It's just an exhibition match against Portugal. But as a fan, when you pay that much money,
yeah,
I would not have been very
real
pleased.
Stoked about that. No, I hear you. That's tough. And who knows? I mean, there could have been a little injury or something like that, but
right.
But yeah, I mean, it is a victory tour, and that's tough. I don't want to judge without knowing the whole situation, but yeah, the optics aren't awesome on the surface. But well, look, I mean, creating that kind of demand though is pretty cool for women's soccer.
It is, absolutely.
So that's cool.
Yeah, and the Minnesota United have helped build that
for sure.
Here with how well they've been doing this year and getting fans back into Major League Soccer around here.
It's such a funny story. Soccer's so funny because it's such a I mean, the youths of America, so many of them play soccer, and yet it just has such a tough time catching on at more than a youth level. I mean, it's certainly not a high revenue collegiate sport.
No.
And the various pro leagues, and the men are one thing because the men haven't been good in the national level, but the women have been amazing at the national level, and even there it's hard to create lasting, sort of momentum enough to support a full league, and it's not a whole lot more or less successful than women's hockey has been. And women's hockey hasn't had the advantage of the international and main stage success that the women's soccer has had domestically or within the country to support it. So you'd think that soccer, if winning in the World Cup and or the Olympics is a big, booster or boost for perception, then it's got to be frustrating that women's soccer hasn't made stronger inroads despite the youth participation in the game and the prevalence of the game throughout youth and then into and through college.
Yeah, I agree.
How is the men's national team so horrible?
They're awful.
I don't even know.
They didn't even qualify for the last World Cup, I don't think.
Just based on sheer logistics of how many people are in this country compared to countries around the world, just based on that, how can they be so horrible?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's because most other countries' soccer is extremely popular. So there's just, I mean, it's, over in Europe and especially Brazil and those countries, it's so popular that it's all they play. While in Minnesota or in the U.S., it's more football and basketball. I don't know if those kids just grow up playing all the time and they just develop better, or I don't know, but yeah, we're terrible.
I mean, is it the same thing as why, Americans in hockey and men's hockey care less about and maybe less about the World Championship and every year and Olympics, then maybe they do this kind of like I don't know. I don't even know if you can say that, but I mean, is it that same mentality that it's just those other events are more aggrandized outside of America? I don't know. I mean, look, as far as women's soccer goes, I live in Abby Wambach's hometown. Abby Wambach, greatest American women's soccer player of all time, right? And they couldn't keep the professional women's a team in the professional women's league here in this town.
I struggle with the notion that I don't know what the population of the U.S. is, but it's a lot.
It was like 400 million now.
Okay, and we can't come up with 11 dudes to compete on the worldwide stage.
15 guys to go head to head with Morocco.
Right.
Sorry, I might be simplifying it a little bit.
Portugal, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. But we've got more than enough guys who are willing to go 3 years in the NFL and destroy their bodies and brains forever for, $50+ million for a 3-year career. It's weird. It's a weird dichotomy.
Very true.
All right. Well, enough of that. All right. WNBA done. MLS done. Let's talk about some. We don't have. I don't want to go too long. So let's go NFL and MLB. We'll finish with the Twins. Let's go NFL. Week 1 NFL is wrapping up right now as we speak, I believe. Vikings win in Week 1. A pretty convincing victory at home against Atlanta. Earlier today as we record here Sunday evening. 28-12 was the final there. Atlanta didn't get on the board till I believe the fourth quarter. I think it was the fourth quarter. So good showing by the offense and the defense. Any major storylines? I mean, I thought that I kind of felt like through the end of the preseason that the defense is maybe not playing so well. Was I don't know. It seemed a little contrived to me, and if it was, it looked like it maybe worked because they certainly shut down a at least decent, if not fairly potent, Atlanta offense today.
It was a weird game, and from the aspect that Vikes got up early, 14 rip, and then in the second quarter got a third touchdown to go up 21 zip. So it was a strange game from the aspect that, I think football probably more than almost any other sport, the game flows kind of are dictated by the score. And it just once the Vikes got that 3 touchdown lead, they were just pretty much on cruise control the rest of the way. Now, as it relates to the defense, I love a good defense, and the Vikings, statistically have been that in the last several years until it matters most.
Yeah.
So they can have the best regular season defense. Where I'm at with them is I'm going to hold out and see, and kind of see how they're defined when the season, when those moments that the season is on the line. That's when I'm going to draw my conclusions on this defense because, what was it, 38-7 in Philadelphia 2 years ago? And then, they let a pretty bad Chicago Bears defense walk all over them when they needed to stop the most to get into the playoffs last year. So I'm not sold on this defense when it matters most.
Yeah, I'm honestly the Vikings to me are pretty much in the same boat as the Wild.
Oof.
Just for the fact that they can do whatever they want, they can be however great they want to be in the regular season, but until they prove something to me and decide to actually show up in the playoffs, I try to temper my expectations and not get too high on them because they have a tendency to fall apart and not show up when it really matters.
Jeez, I thought you were going to tell me you thought Rhodes ran the team.
Rhodes, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't. I didn't think there was going to be any way I was going to be on board with that, given that it started as a wild comparison. But good work, Mike. You actually got me there. I'm with you.
All right. Vikes notwithstanding, how in the is tampering legal in the NFL? Because
it goes on
legal.
It goes on everywhere, though, right?
It goes on in hockey for sure.
Okay. Is there any way in either of your minds that Antonio Brown going to the Patriots doesn't represent some level of tampering by the Patriots?
No, and I think most people thought as soon as any of this started with Oakland that it was a foregone conclusion that Belichick would come and swoop and get him at some point, one way or the other.
So he makes sort of peace with the Raiders, sort of like apologizes to the team and all that, right? And then, like within hours, essentially, turns around and gets all indignant about you took away my guarantees, release me. And then within hours of that, he's essentially signed by the Patriots. You were going to have to work so hard to convince me, you in general, not you two per se, but somebody would have to work so hard to convince me that between him making kissy face with the Raiders and saying release me, that his agent, Rosenhaus, didn't reach out to the Patriots and say, just out of curiosity, if he was available, would you guys sign him? And they said yes. And he went back and told Antonio that, and Antonio was like, all right, I changed my mind, release me. I mean, that has to be what happened.
You know, I don't like those types of shenanigans, and I clearly don't like it when athletes put themselves above the team and just go totally individualistic on the bit.
Like Ryan Suter.
But I will say, I am, for the most part, especially as it relates to the NFL, I am very much on the pro player side, because NFL management, as soon as they've determined that you are no longer additive to the team, in the NFL, you get whacked. As soon as the team is done, benefiting from you, you're gone. And that's how the NFL chews up and spits out its players all the time. So from that standpoint, aside from Brown acting like a total ass, I don't really have a problem with this.
I think we would all be a lot better emotionally if we just acknowledged that they are NFL players are modern day gladiators, and that truly in the sense of essentially fight to the death entertainers of ancient Rome.
100% mercenaries, without a doubt.
That's all they are. And we are no better than the mob going crazy in the Colosseum in Rome when we cheer for these guys and hope that the emperor has his people throw out loaves of bread to us. That's it. That's all it is. They're gladiators. That's it. And we don't care if they damage their bodies beyond recognition and their brains beyond comprehension and all these things. By the way, Tennessee 43, Cleveland 13. Hey, Cleveland, you are who you are.
They're supposed to be good this year.
Well, they're still Cleveland. They're right. I mean, they're supposed to be good this year, and the Gophers needed 2 overtimes to beat Fresno State. Also, I tweeted this out today, but between the Dolphins and the Marlins, I'm going to set the over-under on combined wins in this, 2019 at 60, and I would probably take the under. The Marlins are sitting at like 50. Hold on, I'll tell you. Marlins are sitting at 51 victories right now. with